All right, let's jump straight into it. Welcome to This Explainer, where today we're unpacking the hidden biological toll of a habit that literally millions of us share. You know the drill, right? You stay up late for just one more episode, or you push through just one extra hour of work, and the next morning, well, it feels manageable. So you do it again and again. But then, a few days later, you start forgetting names, you miss obvious details, and you're left wondering why absolutely everything in your day just feels so much harder. Most of us never connect these creeping problems to our sleep habits, but science absolutely does. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating science of sleep and health, and we're going to uncover exactly what's happening inside your brain and body when you shortchange your rest.
Think about the number 6 for a second. It seems like a perfectly reasonable number, doesn't it? I mean, for so many adults, sleeping 6 hours a night has just become the baseline standard. You might even pride yourself on it. We tell ourselves that 6 hours is plenty to get by, that our bodies have just magically adapted to it. But the strange thing is, we usually trick ourselves into thinking we're getting enough sleep simply because we're still upright. We're still waking up, going to work, and checking off our to-do lists. Health experts, though, they tell a radically different story. To hit optimal health, most adults actually need at least 7 hours of sleep every single night. So it really begs the question, are we actually functioning fine on 6?
And that brings us right to the heart of the matter. The scientific answer here is honestly gonna shock you. Did you know that consistently sleeping only 6 hours a night can make your brain perform like someone who's been awake for almost 24 hours straight? Just let that sink in for a second. Nearly a full day and night without a wink of sleep? That's the exact level of impairment we're dealing with. And the really scary part, most people have absolutely no clue what's happening to them. You might genuinely believe you're doing totally fine, but underneath the hood, scientists have discovered something very, very different is going on.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the massive gap between perception and reality. On one hand, you have this illusion, I'm functioning fine. But on the other hand, the biological truth is that your performance is worsening daily. You see, the trickiest part about sleep deprivation is that it doesn't always feel super dramatic. Your brain just slowly gets used to feeling tired, totally tricking you into thinking you're performing at your peak. There was this landmark sleep study out of the University of Pennsylvania where subjects were restricted to 6 hours of sleep over 2 weeks. Guess what? They suffered the exact same cognitive decline as someone who hadn't slept for 2 whole days. And the wildest part? They insisted they felt totally fine. Their brains just adjusted to the fatigue, masking the decline. And one of the very first things to take a hit, the part of your brain responsible for focus, decision-making, and self-control.
So, let's walk through how this actually plays out during an average day. Tell me if this sounds familiar. Every morning, you wake up exhausted, practically lunging for that cup of coffee before you can even form a coherent thought. Then, right around the afternoon, your energy just completely falls off a cliff. You start forgetting super simple things, like, have you ever walked into a room and had zero idea why you went in there? Or maybe caught yourself trying to put the TV remote in the fridge. You're zoning out during important meetings, and by the time evening rolls around, incredibly small problems suddenly feel like massive world-ending catastrophes. Think about driving home and barely remembering the actual trip. When you're running on a sleep deficit, dangerous little autopilot moments like that become way too common.
But here's the thing, that daytime grogginess, that's really just a surface symptom. Let's dig into what nobody really warned you about, the invisible biological toll. Sleeping 6 hours isn't just making you yawn today, it is actively degrading your memory, your mood, your metabolism, and your long-term health. These effects don't just disappear, they build up day after day, quietly compounding in the background. So what's actually happening inside your body when a 6-hour night becomes your everyday normal? Let's break down the biology of why your body reacts the way it does.
This right here is the hidden chemistry of sleep loss in action. When you consistently limit yourself to 6 hours, your body hits the panic button and starts pumping out more stress hormones. And those elevated stress hormones, they directly hijack your mood, tank your energy levels, and completely mess with your appetite. Research actually shows that inadequate sleep ramps up your hunger and sparks these intense cravings, especially for heavy, sugary foods. Ever notice how you desperately want a donut after a terrible night's rest? That's why unhealthy snacks are so impossibly hard to resist when you're tired. So hear this loud and clear. It is not a failure of willpower. Your biology is literally pushing you toward that sugar crash.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what's happening up in your brain. Just imagine trying to deep clean your house every single night, but you're forced to stop halfway through. Eventually, the mess just starts building up, right? Well, this is the part most people don't know. While you're asleep, your brain is quite literally power washing itself, clearing out metabolic waste products, while your body does crucial repair work. Sleep is when you consolidate memories, boost your immune system, and physically recover. When you chop that cycle off at the 6-hour mark, these vital processes simply don't get the time they need to finish the job. The biological mess builds up, triggering all those nasty symptoms we were just talking about.
Okay, let's dive right into this next question, because it is easily one of the most common myths out there. Can you just catch up on the weekend? I mean, so many of us believe that if we just grit our teeth and grind through the work week on 5 or 6 hours a night, we can just hibernate until noon on Saturday and magically reset our biological clock. It sounds like a fantastic deal, right? Trade a little weekday fatigue for a big weekend snooze? But, unfortunately, science says the exact opposite. Extra sleep cannot simply erase chronic deprivation. Sure, grabbing a few extra hours on Sunday morning might make you feel a tiny bit better in the short term, but it absolutely cannot undo the deep physiological effects of chronic sleep loss. Your body and your brain benefit so much more from a consistent daily sleep rhythm than from these frantic, sporadic attempts to binge sleep your exhaustion away. You really can't outsleep a bad week.
And that brings us to the absolute most important part of this explainer, what you can actually do to fix this. If you're realizing that your 6-hour habit might be hurting you more than you thought, I've got 3 actionable lifelines for you. Step 1. Fiercely protect your sleep schedule. Go to bed and wake up at the exact same time every day, yes, even on weekends. Aim for that 7 to 9 hour sweet spot. Remember, consistency is way more important than perfection here. Step 2. Create a 60-minute wind-down routine. An hour before bed, ditch the bright screens, dim your lights, and step away from stressful work. Grab a book or listen to a podcast. This tiny habit naturally cues your brain that it's time to power down, and the results are massive. And finally, step 3. Morning sunlight. A lot of people only focus on bedtime, but incredible sleep actually starts the minute you wake up. Within 30 minutes of getting out of bed, go outside and get natural sunlight in your eyes for just 5 to 10 minutes. That morning light perfectly regulates your body clock, meaning you'll sleep so much better that night. People who actually do this report having better daytime energy, sharper focus, and they fall asleep way faster. Which leads us perfectly to our final overarching thought. The quality of your sleep literally determines the quality of your life. It really is the foundation of absolutely everything you do. If your brain has quietly been operating as if you've been awake for 24 hours straight, you really have to ask yourself, who could you become, and what could you actually achieve if you finally gave your body the rest it's begging for? Think about which of those 3 steps you're going to try tonight. Start small, sure, but start tonight. And hey, speaking of small changes that have massive impacts, in our next explainer, I'm going to show you exactly what happens when you stop looking at your phone in bed for just 7 days. The data on this surprised even the researchers. You definitely won't want to miss that one. Until then, protect your rest.